Let's have today's discussions kicking off, and I have quite a good number of questions that I want us to look at in our today's class. So we will begin with question 16. I guess you can be able to clearly see that question. This question applies two very important concepts for you to actually end up getting the answer. The first concept has to get drawn from a topic called indices or laws of indices. And the second concept has to get drawn from quadratic equations, how to actually get the values of x when a quadratic equation is given. So I'll start by first writing down the question, and the question reads 5 raised to 2x less 6 times 5 raised to x plus 5 is equals to 0. That is our question, and you have been told to find the values of x in the question. So what are we actually going to say? We will always be able to have this as our say in as far as this question is concerned. We shall first come up with this. We shall say let 5 raised to x. You pick the one that is raised to the lowest power. This is 5 raised to 2x, but this is 5 raised to x. So we pick the one that is actually raised to the lowest power. We can say let 5 raised to x be y. That should always be our first point to capture. Then we can come and substitute where there is 5 raised to x in the equation with y. So this is 5 raised to x being y, but this is 5 raised to 2x. So that becomes 5 raised to x into 2. You can write that. So that at the end of the day, you'll actually have 2 times x giving you 2x less 6 times 5 raised to x plus 5 is equals to 0. Let's come back here. We rewrite that question here. So we shall have 5 into x, then 2 less 6 times 5x plus 5 is equals to 0. I think that is clear. Then you can come here and say now 5 raised to x, that is all y. Then you shall say y squared less 6 times y, 5 raised to x, then plus 5 is equivalent to 0. Great, it is going to form a quadratic equation. So we shall have y squared less 6y plus 5 is equals to 0. And the easiest way to get an answer in as far as solving a quadratic equation will always involve this method of factorizing, or a method called factorization. So we shall first come up with the sum and then the product. Our sum is -6 and our product is 5. Two numbers, when you multiply, you get 5, and when you actually add the two numbers, you have to get -6, or the sum is -6. So you can preferably say the numbers are -1 and -5. Right, -1 times -5, +5. -1 plus -5, -6. So I can come here and say y squared. So I have to pick the whole of this part, then replace with this -1 and -5. So y squared minus y minus 5y plus 5 is equals to 0. Nice. Then we can come and say y into y minus 1 minus 5 into y minus 1. So it will be y minus 5, then y minus 1. You know, the mathematics just need to enjoy the working. So this is the way you're supposed to do it. So that you can come up with this, you can come up and say y less 5 is equals to 0. So that means y is equals to 5. Then y less 1 is equals to 0. Then that means y is equals to 1. But we were not told to get the values of y. We were told to get the values of x. Find the values of x in the equation. Find the values of x in the equation. So you can come here and say, we had said that 5 raised to x is y. So we can come here and say 5 raised to x is equals to 5. You can say 5 raised to 1, of course, because 5 raised to x is y, but y is 5. So that means 5 raised to x is equals to 5. So if the 5 and the 5 have to actually get dropped, we are going to have x as 1. That can be the first possible answer. Or you can as well say 5 raised to x is y. That means 5 raised to x is equals to 1, because y is 1. Okay, so that gives you 5 raised to x is equals to, so you have to actually change 1 to base 5. So you can rewrite that as 5 raised to 0, because we said in this topic called laws of indices that any number raised to 0 is 1. So 5 raised to 0 is 1. So that 5 and 5 will drop. So again, our other x becomes 0. So those are the two possible values of x in as far as this question is concerned. So if you have any question, you can ask, but that is the far you can be able to go in as far as getting the values of x in this question is concerned. Let's turn to other questions that we can be able to work on for us to get the answer or to get the answers, and these are our questions. There are some questions that students gave me and we really want to work on them, and that is our first question. If you can clearly be able to see it, so they are saying that is question 2. Given that y is equals to 2x minus z everything over x plus 3z, express x in terms of y and z. They're saying express x in terms of y and z. If someone says express x in terms of y and z, that is the same as saying can you make x the subject of the formula. So I'm going to write down that question. So it's like saying make x the subject of the formula. So express x in terms of y and z. So, and the question is 2x minus z over x plus 3z, that is equivalent to y. So we want to make x the subject of the formula. So if you get a question of this type and you have this as a fraction, please remove the denominator. How do you remove the denominator? You can say y into x plus 3z should be equal to 2x minus z into y plus 3z. Nice. We can open the brackets. Let's begin from here. Yx plus 3zy is equivalent to, let's start, 2x times y, we get 2xy, then plus 2x times 3z, 6xz, then we will have less minus z times y, it will be negative zy, then minus z times positive 3z, you'll get minus 3z squared. We can collect those expressions that have x, because you have to make x the subject of the formula. So you shall have yx, then you can take 2xy on this side. You can also take 6xz on this side. So you have yx less 2xy less 6xz should be equal to less zy, okay, less zy, this one here, less 3z squared. Then we have to take this 3zy on this side, so it's going to be less 3zy. I guess it makes sense. So if we shall factorize out x, we shall have x into y minus 2y, yeah, correct, minus 6z, that should be equal to negative zy, negative 3z squared, negative 3zy. And then we shall divide both sides by the whole of this expression. Or can first say x into negative y, because y minus 2y is minus y. Then minus 6z, it must be equal to minus zy minus 3z squared minus 3zy. Correct. So we'll divide both sides by minus y minus 6z minus y minus 6z. So this and this will disappear. So at the end of the day, our x becomes minus zy minus 3z squared minus 3zy divided by y negative, okay, minus 6z. That becomes your final answer. As far as making x the subject of the formula is concerned, they had said write x, this x, in form of z and y. Okay, another question that you can work on is question 6. Question 6. I think you can be able to see question 6. That is it. Okay. You'll bear with me because it's a bit difficult for me to work with this. So, question 6. Question 6. The question reads: the cash price of a TV set is 13,800 Kenyan shillings. A customer opts to buy the set on hire purchase terms by paying a deposit of 2,280 Kenyan shillings. They are saying if simple interest of 20% per annum is charged on the balance and the customer is required to repay by 24 equal monthly installments, calculate the amount of each installment. So the cash price. So you can actually get a particular item either on cash price or on hire purchase terms. The cash price is 13,800 Kenyan shillings. But I have decided to buy this item on hire purchase terms. So if I use hire purchase, okay, I'm going to have a deposit plus monthly installments. And in most cases, whoever does the buying of a particular item on hire purchase terms ends up paying more than whoever does the purchase of that item on cash price. So we have 13,800 being the cost of that television, but I decide to pay a deposit of 2,280. So 2,280. I want to see how much is actually the balance. Okay, so 13,800 less 2,280. I remain with 11,520. That is what I'm supposed to pay in form of installments. But because of you using the high purchase terms to purchase this television, you've been told that the balance that has to get cleared in form of installments has to actually end up earning some interest. And this balance earns interest on simple interest terms. Correct. So it will earn an interest on simple interest terms. So we'll say simple interest is equals to principal times rate times time divided by 100. Principal is the amount of money. Now this amount of money that you're supposed to actually clear for you to have the television set. This rate is the rate at which that money is going to earn interest, and T is the time or duration that that money has to actually end up getting paid. So our principal, the amount of money to be cleared is 11,520, and our rate is 20%, and our time, they had told us 24 months. He has to repay that money in 24 months. That is 2 years. So we say times 2 divided by, because this is rate in percentage, you must say divide by 100. So now let's see. It is now 11,520 times 20 as the rate times 2 the duration, that is 24 months, then divide by 100. So the interest earned is 4,608. So 4,608 is the interest earned. Now let's get the total amount of money is supposed to pay back after those 24 months. So we shall say amount to be paid back. Now amount to be paid back, amount to be paid back will be principal, whatever was to actually get cleared, which is 11,520, plus the interest earned on simple interest terms. The 11,520 is the principal, and then the interest earned is 4,608. Let's get the amount of money to be paid back. So 4,608 plus 11,520. So the person is supposed to pay 16,128 after 24 months. So you're supposed to pay back 16,128. And now what is the question asking? Let's look at what the question is asking. Calculate the amount of each installment. That is to say, how much is this person going to pay per month? So the amount to be cleared is 16,128. But the duration for that money to get cleared is 24 months. So how much is this person going to pay per month? So we shall have this one, 16,120 divided by 24 months. So this person is going to pay 672 per month. So each installment is 672 Kenyan shillings. Correct. 672 Kenyan shillings. 672 Kenyan shillings. 672 Kenyan what? Shillings. Let's turn to another question that was able to get given to me by the students. And let me get a paper. Okay. So this is our question. Let's embark on this question. Let's start from here. The question that is question 15. Simplify 3 over root 5 less 2 plus 1 over root 5. So you've been told to simplify 3 over root 5 less 2 plus 1 over root 5. And if someone says simplify, that means you're supposed to actually end up rationalizing the denominator and trying to write your answer in its simplest form. So leaving the answer in the form a plus b root c. That should be a plus b root c. Okay, so let's begin. We can actually work out this first part first. So we shall write down 3 over root 5 less 2. We want to rationalize this part before we can go to the second part. We shall actually use what you call the rationalization method, and we shall pick a conjugate of this expression, and it will actually be root 5 plus 2, then root 5 plus 2. That makes sense. So that we shall say 3 times root 5, that will be 3 root 5 plus 3 times 2, that is 6 over. Don't bother so much about this lower part. Forget about this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this. Just pick this part, square this 5, you'll get root 25, less square this part, you'll get 4. So your final answer in terms of rationalizing this denominator becomes 3 root 5 plus 6 over the square root of 25 is 5, then you say less 4. So the answer becomes 3 root 5 plus 6 over 1. Because 5 less 4 is 1. Let's go to that second part, which is 1 over root 5. We shall actually rationalize the denominator, so we shall say root 5, root 5. Root 5 times 1, that is root 5. Root 5 times root 5, root 25. So your final answer here becomes root 5 over 5. Yeah, correct. Let's now combine these two, this and this. We shall have, let me write it down here so that you can be able to clearly see what you're going to do. We shall say 3 root 5 plus 6 over 1 plus root 5 over 5. We will get the LCM. LCM. We want to write that as a single fraction. The LCM of 1 and 5 is 5. So 1 into 5, that is 5. So it will be 5 into 3 root 5 plus 6. Then plus 5 into 5, that is 1. So it will be 1 into root 5. Let's now simplify this further. Okay. We can bring this. So shall say 5 times this will be 15 root 5. 15 root 5. 5 times 3, 15 root 5 plus 30. 5 times 6. Then plus 1 times root 5, that will be root 5. Then you say over 5. So 15 root 5 plus root 5, that is the same as 1 root 5, by the way. Root 5 is the same as 1 root 5. So 15 root 5 plus 1 root 5, that will be 16 root 5. Then plus 30 over 5. Our final answer, we shall come up with this as our answer. We shall say 16 divided by 5. So it will be 16 divided by 5. That gives you 3.2. So we shall have 3.2 plus Okay, and it will be 3.2 root 5. That is correct, 3.2 root 5. You don't take this and then divide by this. It will be now a wrong way of doing this question. Just take this whole number, then divide them. This and this are not like terms. So 16 divided by 5, that is done. Then just say root 5. So then 5 into 30, that gives you 6. So they had told us that we write our answer, or our final answer should be given in this format. Let me look at that question. You write your answer in the form a plus b root c. A plus b root c. So that means you're going to write this. You'll actually say 6 begins plus 3.2 root 5. So it is in the form a plus b root c. Correct. So that our a is 6, our b is 3.2, and our c is 5. That becomes your final answer. 6 plus 3.2 root 5. 6 plus 3.2 root 5. So just have a look at this question and then ask any question where necessary. If we can go to the next question. I guess you have a point, and we can move to another question. And that's what you're supposed to do. Preferably, that's the easiest way of actually doing that question. The easiest way of doing that question. Now, I have another question here that comes from a topic called equation of a circle. They are saying find the radius and the coordinate of the center of the circle. Whose equation is this? Let me write down that equation. 2x squared plus 2y squared less 3x plus 2y plus a half is equals to 0. We want to get the radius of a circle with such an equation and get the coordinates of the center of that circle. The coordinates in terms of x and y. So we can proceed from here. Let's remove this fraction. We can multiply all through by 2 to remove the denominator. It will make our work much easier for us to work out this question. So 2 times 2, that gives us 4x squared plus 2 times 2, 4y squared less 3 times 2, that is 6x plus 2 times 2, that is 4y. Then this 2 and this 2 will disappear, so you remain with 1. Then that must be equal to 0. Of course, 0 times 2 is just 0. Then we can actually collect like terms. So I will say 4x squared less 6x plus 4y squared plus 4y plus 1 is equals to 0. I'll take the constant 1 to that other side. So I'll have 4x squared minus 6x plus 4y squared plus 4y is equals to negative 1. Why negative 1? It will be 0 minus 1. Because when this crosses the equal sign, it becomes negative. Okay. We can make the coefficient of x squared and y squared 1 by dividing all through by 4. So this and this will disappear. So we shall have x squared minus, what is 6 divided by 4? Is it 1.5? Yeah, 1.5. So 1.5. So 1.5x plus this and this will disappear. So you have y squared. Then 4 divided by 4 is just 1. So plus y is equals to negative 0.25. Why negative 0.25? That is negative 1 divided by 4. Negative 0.25. So we are going to use that concept of b over 2 squared. Yeah. Of course, we always say b over 2 squared is equals to AC. So I can say x squared. Okay, this is our a. We assume there's an a here. This is our a, this is our b. So x squared minus 1.5 divided by 2 squared. So we take the b, this is our b. We take the b, then we divide by 2, then we square, because it's b over 2 squared. Then plus y squared plus, we assume there is 1 here because that's just y, so just like 1. So we just say 1 divided by 2 and then squared. Then is equals to negative 0.25. Okay, and whatever you have actually done here, you are completing the square. So what do? You must again say, regardless of the sign here and here, You take the b over 2 squared here and the b over 2 squared here, you actually add them here so that you can complete the square. So you'll have 1.5 over 2 squared, then plus 1 over 2 squared. You complete the square. So that is the same as x squared minus, what is 1.5 divided by 2? That is 0.5. So it will be 0.5 squared plus y squared. Then 1 divided by 2, that will be 0.5 squared. It should be equal to, so let me just work out this. It will be negative 0.25 plus, so plus 0.75 squared plus 0.5 squared. This is squared, this is squared. You can use what? So you can say x minus 0.75 squared plus y plus 0.5 squared must be equal to. So I'll come here and say negative 0.25 plus 0.75 squared plus 0.5 squared. My answer becomes 0.5625. Right. Okay. We shall get the square root on both sides so that this and this and this will disappear. So I'll remain with x minus 0.75, then plus y plus 0.5. It must be equal to, let's get the square root of this. The square root of that is 0.75. Okay, and we will proceed and now have this. We shall say the radius of this circle is 0.75 units. And the coordinates of the center of this circle B will say x minus 0.75 is equals to 0. So we shall take this on this so that our x becomes 0.75. Okay, 0.75. So what is our y? So our y, we have y plus 0.5 is equals to 0. So our y is equals to 0 minus 0.5. So our y is equals to negative 0.5. So that in short, our coordinates are going to be what? 0.75, comma, negative 0.5. The value of x and the value of y. Those are the coordinates in terms of x and y, which will now give us the radius, which is 0.75. So our radius, in as far as this circle is concerned, is 0.75 units, and the coordinates of the center of the circle in terms of x and y are 0.75 and negative 0.5. That is all about that question, and we will now move to another question. I guess you have an idea of what you're supposed to do as far as this question is concerned. So another question that we were also told to do, the students requested us to work on them, and I think question 11 is having the same concept that we've just discussed. So we'll move to question 12, because it also asks us to get the coordinates of the center of the circle and the radius. So that actually applies the same concept. So we'll go to the next question, and that is question 12. And the question reads, solve for y in the question. And the question says, log to base 10, 3y plus 2 minus 1 is equals to log to base 10 into brackets y minus 4. So the log of 3y plus 2 to base 10 minus 1 is equals to the log of y minus 4 to base 10. They have told us to get the value of y. What are we supposed to do? We will need to actually change this one to the log of something to base 10. So I can just write and say log to base 10, of course, of 3y plus 2, 1. Okay? So what is 1? 1 is equivalent to the log of a particular number to the base of the same number. And the base is 10. So it will be the log of 10 to base 10. The log of a number to the base of the same number must be 1. So if the base is 10, that must be the log of 10 to base 10 to give us 1. It must be equal to log of y minus 4 to base 10. Let's combine these two. It will be log to base 10 into 3y plus 2 over 10. Why do I do this? In terms of the laws of the logs or the logarithmic notations, we are always told that whenever we have two logarithmic notation and the difference has to get seen, or there's a minus sign between them, we can combine those two logarithmic notations by using the division sign. So negative changes to division. Then that must be equal to the log of y minus 4 to base 10. So log and log will disappear. So I'm remaining with 3y plus 2 over 10 is equals to y minus 4. We can remove the denominator by saying times 10, saying times 10. Okay, this and this will disappear. So 3y plus 2 is equals to 10y minus 40. I will tentatively be able to take 10y on this side and take 2 on this side. So I'll have 3y less 10y, why less? Because we assume there's a positive sign behind 10, and then that will equal to negative 40 minus 2. Negative 40, then positive changes to negative, so minus 2. Proceeding forward, we will have negative 7y is equals to negative 42. Divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7, so that our y is equivalent to 6. So the y has 6 as its value. So the value of y is 6. The value of y is 6. Correct. So that's what you're supposed to do as far as that question is concerned. The value of y is 6. The value of y is 6. Another question. That is question 13. I guess you can see it very well. Let me just try to push it here. Question 13. They're saying, without using a calculator or a mathematical table, express root 3 over 1 minus cos 30 in sad form and simplify. So you first have to express that in sad form, then further simplify to get the final answer. So you've been told it is root 3 over 1 minus cos 30. You've been told to express that in sad form. What do? Just come up with a triangle. It must be an equilateral triangle. Then you can be able to actually divide it. You have 60 degrees, you have 60 degrees, you have 30 degrees, and then you have 30 degrees. If they talk about 30 degrees or 60 degrees, please come up with an equilateral triangle. If they talk about 45 degrees and 90 degrees, come up with a right angled triangle so that you can actually be able to change this part in sad form. We know very well that this is 1, this is 1, this is a half, and this is a half. So you always know that the sides of an equilateral triangle must always be equal, apart from also all its angles being equal. So they are all able to have the same sizes of angles, and also all the sides are equal. So if it is 1, it is also 1. If this is 1, then you have actually divided this. You have to actually have a half and a half. We need to get this height. You can take this to be A, this to be B, this is to be C. Using Pythagoras theorem, we just say 1 squared less a half squared, so that you'll end up having 1 less a quarter. You have to get the square root of that. So what does it give you? It is going to give you 3 over 4. So the square root, it now finally gives you root 3 over 2. Because you can get the square root of 4, and that gives you 2. But you just in case you get a number whose square root cannot be a whole number, you're allowed to leave it like that so that you can have the sad form of that. I guess you've understood what you're supposed to do there. So you can now come and now be able to say, what is cos 30? So we want to get cos 30. So cos theta is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos 30 degrees is equals to, so this is 30. And we have known that this height is root 3 over 2. Yeah. So we want to see what is cos 30. Cos 30, this is 30. You can either use this or use this. So cos 30 is adjacent. This is the adjacent, which is root 3 over 2. Then divide by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is 1. So root 3 divided by 2, divided by 1, the answer is just root 3 over 2. So you'll come here and say now, you rewrite it, root 3 over 1 less. What is our cos 30? Root 3 over 2. Because root 3 over 2 divided by 1 is just root 3 over 2. So root 3 over 2 is our cos 30. Okay, so you want to actually rationalize the denominator. We shall say into a conjugate of this will be 1 plus root 3 over 2. 1 plus root 3 over 2. So that we will open the brackets. We will say now root 3 times 1, that is root 3, plus root 3 times root 3 over 2, that will be root 9 over 2. Then over, you come here, you don't even bother so much about opening the bracket. You can just say 1 squared, that gives you 1 less, then you also square this. Root 3 squared, root 9, over 2 squared, 4. Now proceeding forward, we'll have this. We'll come here and say root 3 plus, and here it will be 1.5. Why 1.5? Square root of 9 is 3. 3 divided by 2, 1.5. Okay. Then we can now come up with this. We can come here and be able to say that divide by 1 less, square root of 9 is 3 over 4. Okay, so we have root 3, then plus root 9 is 3 divided by 2, 1.5. So over 1 less, square root of 9, 3 divided by 4. So that will be now root 3 plus 1.5 over, so it will be 1 minus 3 over 4. That gives you 1 minus 3 over 4. That gives you 1 over 4. Yeah, that is correct. So we will have this. We are going to have now root 3, or just the same as 1 root 3. Okay. Plus 1.5 over, a quarter is the same as 0.25. What will be the same as? Let me see. We need to get the answer for this. So we shall say 1 divided by 0.25. 1 divided by 0.25. That is 4. So that gives us 4 root 3. Then plus 1 divided by 0.25. Then we shall say 1.5 divided by 0.25. So 1.5 divided by 0.25. That gives you 6. So it will be 4 root 3 plus 6. That becomes our final answer for that. Thank you for your time.